I am finding it safe to say that we are all here to discuss something which is now a global dream. You see, I don't think there's anyone present who is not thinking about the same thing, and that is the post pandemic era. I know it's a far fetched dream, but we all are hoping today, and my presentation is based on that hope and from where that hope is generated. So let's move further. So I guess you all know by now what an epidemic or an pandemic is. So a pandemic is something that is an epidemic which spread over a lot of countries, and this time a lot of countries is completely the earth. So I don't think anywhere there's anywhere left that has not been hit by the COVID. So along with COVID, I think a lot of other things hit us too, and that too hit us globally. And those were anxiety, stress, a lot of ups and downs in the economic structures, and there were food crisis, there were other bad things happening because of COVID, but there were other things that were on the positive side of this spectrum. So with this, I'd like to tell you that every point that I discuss in this presentation will be having two aspects. Now, a coin has a two sides, but I'm not going to term them as a negative side or as a positive side, because you cannot judge, right? A thing impacted someone and it's how people take it. No two stories are similar, so no two people's journey through this pandemic was similar, but I'm just broadly classifying them into two consequences. So while this pandemic hit us and some people were stressed and worried about their jobs and indefinite closures and the quarantine and the lockdowns, there was something else. There were people gathering together. Even though this disease like separated even families from each other, there were people who were helping those who were not family. They came out, they shared food, they let people live under their roof, they paid for treatments, and the community joined hands, even though joining hands together was not literally possible. So that was a big irony. Moving on to the next point. So this is something about society and psychology. So you see, COVID has been troubling people since December 19, but in my country, we became aware of it by February end of 2020. And since then, it's been like a little bit hope. So first the cases were limited and people were like hoping and hoping and hoping. And then that hope slowly, gradually creeped up on people and it turned into despair, right? And bad things started happening. Local shops were shut down, and like the deliveries were stopped for a long while. Schools were closed, offices were closed, many jobs were lost, and the economic problems, and people were short on food. And poor people who are like the laborers, the daily wage workers, they had nowhere to go. They were returning back home on their feet because the transportation was closed. It all resulted on a big major impact on our mental health. And you see, social media. Now, social media is something that helped a lot of people during this COVID situation, because a lot of verified information was spread through social media, and people helped through social media. Food were like food links, or the links for the bed in the hospitals, or the numbers for vaccination slots, and many things is being shared on social media. But there is another aspect to it, which is a lot of fake news sharing that has been happening through social media, a lot of defamation that has been happening. So during this time, a lot of political agendas were being run, and a lot of defaming each other, and people were watching other people's travel, and they were like, there was a bashing going on, and meanwhile they were bashing the government of the country instead of helping. So all this resulted in a very heavy burden on the mental health. On my personal experience, I was in a very dark phase due to this lockdown and this coronavirus spread, and because so many important things were stopped, and I, like, for a month or a two, and I was in a very dark corner, and I don't used to do all the healthy things. But then I thought that I have to like come out from this, and then one day I decided I'm not going to sit out, and I'm going to turn it into something productive. And that is what happened with a lot of people. A lot of people used the resources that they still had while sitting in their homes, using the internet, using the social media, and then they turned it into something positive instead of like all the wrong things. They like remove the negativity, and I think that is going to carry on for a lot of people in the future. You see, what the future will look like depends on what we want it to look like, as Shubham has said already. So we need to shape our future on our own. So there is a huge part of this society who's going to take this opportunity, because as earlier also this is being discussed, that this is not the last pandemic. Sadly, there will be other incidents, and not only pandemic, other bad incidents, and there will be situations when we'll be stuck at home like this. But now that we know how it feels like, we can use it for, I mean, we can turn it to our advantage, because human beings are alive because we know how to adapt. So we adapted to the virus, and that's why the situation is slightly better today. I'm not going to say it's much better, but it's slightly better, and a lot of things are back into action just because of that. So a lot of people are going to take this to their future and try to make something good out of the bad situation. While on the other hand, here you see all these factors which like weigh down on a lot of people. They need help. A lot of people, a lot of my family members and some friends I know, they are going to therapy, and I think it will need time for them to recover. And it'll take, because therapy is not a one day thing, it'll take ages to recover for some people. But let's just hope that they'll come out strong. But then the two sides is that some people will need good time to recover. So here's a ratio of people who were like a lot more affected than so the poor people, they had nowhere to go because they don't have access to the internet. They were cut short on wages, and they were only being offered food. So you know, food is not the only thing that you need for survival. You need other things. You have children, you have to fulfill their needs, and you have the schooling, you have your sick family to look after. So poor people were being offered food, but food was not the only thing that they wanted. So they have suffered a lot, and I think the people who wanted to help these poor people, they are trying to, for now, they are trying to come up with some ideas to like suggest the government, like, change the workings of the government, or set some agendas to help poor people better, I mean perform better, like make some sector. They cannot work online maybe, or maybe they can, there could be some possibilities for that. They could be taught doing some little works through their home, or maybe they could offer some small work that they can do while such situations, which can help them further. Okay, so the other thing that I think happened was giving a lot more time to our families. Okay, and I think this happened because of this pandemic. I'm not saying it's the pandemic resulted in good things, but good things did happen during this time. So we, a lot of us who were away from home and who couldn't pay more attention to our families, or we couldn't like sit and talk and know what our elders or our grandmothers or grandfathers are going through, we got a lot of time to spend home, talk to them. And even if they were far away, we like, we all wanted to know how our relatives were doing, and we called them. And I think this would hit home for many people, and they'd like to keep in touch with people, because you see, corona has made everyone thinking that today is the last day, could be the last day. And I think that is something we are being taught since our childhood, that you should take every day as your last one, and you should like do it or enjoy it to the fullest. But we were not paying attention. But after seeing it from such closeness, I think a lot of people have it hit their homes, that we need to like say the things that is left, and say our stories and I love yous and thank yous, and like resolve our grudges. So that is something that happened. We connected with our families. We learned the importance of the housewives and the house husbands who have been taking care of the households, and all the homemakers around the world who are like busy caring for us, cooking for us, cleaning for us, how important they are, while we do not like get time to pay gratitude to them during our day-to-day life. And we get to know more about our families, and we get to do family dinners, or maybe breakfast, or help in cooking. Maybe everyone was bored after sometimes when our mothers started making us wash the utensils, but then again it was a good time. So I think some people actually enjoyed this time, and some people are going to take this with their life, while some people may forget it as a time. that happened and they had to do it because of the situation. But for people who actually understood their family, they are going to take it together for their future. And this is the healthcare seat. You can see the hospital beds and doctors. This is the ratio of the hospital beds and doctors in these countries. Now, while hit us, the first wave hit us, we were not prepared, not at all prepared. And when the cases, the numbers started going up, there was such a panic situation in every country, I think, and the numbers were rising and rising, and there was a lack of beds and the healthcare facilities, which made us aware how poor our healthcare system is. And specifically talking about my country, a lot of work should be done for the healthcare department and the healthcare system, and there are more doctor needed and more infrastructures are needed. So now that people are aware, a lot of people are demanding and signing petitions, and even doctors are now more aware about the situation. And now that doctors know how worse a situation can go, they are like, they are in midway talking to the government about what is needed and what is not needed for the further like maintenance of the country, and how much healthcare support is now needed for the country to go on to maintain or to fight such crisis situations at once. So now that, I think the government, it is a slow change. You see, nothing is going to like work overnight or happen in a half a year or a year or so. But since we know that this is the problem and since we are determined to change, I think the change will happen. Not in a day or two, not in a year or two, but maybe in the next 5 years, we'd see some positive change, and we'd see people better prepared to face even more bad situations. Let's just hope there are no more bad situations though. So this is the digitalization. The chart you see is the digitalization of the healthcare system. So you see, what I told you earlier about the social media was that the wrong information was also being circulated, and people were like not helping specific people out of their own grudge or out of their own selfishness, and a lot of misinformation, unnecessary information, and extra information, or maybe wrong medicines or fake medicines were being sold through social media. To stop that, a new system of digitalization of all the healthcare support and system and data should be formed, and it is being formed, but I think it should be improved, and people are working on it. Because you see, health should be always separated from any other agendas or propagandas. Health is the priority of any nation. If there are people healthy, they can turn their nation to better things. But health is priority of any nation or any place, I think. So to make it a safe place, there should be a something, a safe space or a digitalized platform where people can share uh, verified information and ask for help, genuine help, and they can get help through the professionals having interact with them, and they can like actually know from which place they can seek help and to where they should go. So I think this is something that is going on, and also their identities being hidden, because not all people are happy with sharing their numbers or personal information on social media. So yeah, this is something that to make their IDs remain anonymous. So this is something which is ongoing, but I think it will take time. But this is something which is very, very important. The digitalization of the healthcare system. Okay, now education has already been a lot talked about a lot, but I will still cover education. So in my point of view, when the schools were closed and children were sitting home, and like parents were telling their children that it's nothing, 2 years would not matter, just sit home, stay safe, and you can like cover it again. I think that is the point when we all realize that school can be redone, education can be redone, everything can be redone, but life can't be redone. So what your priority is to stay safe. So you see, the question which was asked earlier, I didn't answer it because I was waiting for my presentation. So I'll answer it now. In my view, let's just keep apart all the good things and bad things about the digital education, or maybe the physical going to school education. One thing that I think should happen with the education system is that shaming of being crossing a certain age limit, I think it should be stopped. Like if I am in a certain standard and I drop out of this standard for a while and take a break and come back after a few years, I don't think the society needs to shame me for dropping out for my mental health or my physical health. And it should be generalized to like carry on my education from wherever I want and from whenever I want. You see, if we generalize and if we like consider even old people as freshers, then I think it would be valuable to the education system. Because you see, if as we know that a lot of scientific researchers cannot be done without the laboratories, and a lot of field education would not be given without actually being on the field and could not be provided digitally. To do that, what if a child thinks about taking a break and re-repeating, or I mean going through the lessons again or the classes again or redoing it? The students are scared just by the name of redoing a class, and I don't think it's such a big thing. If you haven't understood something, redoing it is the best thing. But why they are scared is because of losing time. They are afraid that they lose this time, and they are afraid that after a certain age nobody would hire them, or they would have their career in a slump, or maybe their careers would end. I think this needs to be stopped, and this separation of age imposed on the students should be stopped, so that they can freely get themselves educated, and they can like get education through any which way they want, maybe being it a digital way or going to the school or going to the college. And then I think jobs or careers should be provided to those who are deserving, not to those who are of a certain age. Of course, there are some age restrictions to certain things, maybe manual labor or something. But rest of that, I don't think a specific age is needed. Also, a 2 years gap or a 3 years gap is nothing. Is not something I think people should be ashamed of. So yeah, that is my point. That I think that should be the first step to like strengthen our education system. The second is, this is the statistics of the students who actually benefited from the online education. And on the next side, you can see the students who were in the lack of um, anything which could help them get educated through online resources, because maybe they are from poor households, or their household has disturbing, or maybe their parents can't afford it, or they live in a rural place where they have network issues. So this needs to be worked on, and this is solely the government's duty, I think, and the school's duty as well. The fees the school takes, I think they should, this online learning, I don't think it should be like just forgotten after what pandemic has been done. And some schools are already working on it. For sick children who take their sick leaves or go on a break, I think teachers should connect to their students on daily basis through an online platform, so that every student can stay in touch and nobody misses on their like classes. And also, I think online learning is very important for people who are for students who are shy to attend classes. You see, I am someone who has social anxiety, and it was very hard for me to ask questions in public. And I think there are a lot of people like that right now, and it's very difficult to stand in front of a class of 60 students and ask a question. So I think those children should be allowed to attend the classes online. And some schools, while they are thinking about this, I know some schools are like waiting to rush it to the physical world again. And I think that's important too. This is something that children who were always addicted to the phones and the tablets and the computers, and who didn't want to go to school, are now craving going to school. Because you see, while we are in the world of technology, and while I am having this opportunity to connect with you all, I think day-to-day interaction with your friends, your pals is very important. And having a like a going out experience and going to school is something that you should not miss, unless and until you're very, very stressed out from that. And that too can be resolved step by step. But yes, I think that's a very important part of learning. So everyone, just like everything, this too has two sides. Students have learned how important school is more than the studies, more than the teachers giving you homework. School is a lot more than that. School time is a time that is unforgettable for many reasons. So yeah, I think that people have learned staying at home how important their daily lives are. So everyone who was praying for holidays and long holidays is now praying for long work hours. So now this is the last slide, and I think the Rishabh was talking about this eating something which is immune, which helps you boost your immunity, and drinking hot water and something. I think in our fast lives, everyone was busy taking multivitamins and tablets, and not eating healthy, and 7 cups of coffee a day, and working and not paying attention to their health. It has a lot of work to a lot many people's immune systems, me included. So I was not paying a lot of attention to my health, and going downhill. And from this period, our parents forced us into going back to the traditional ways of eating and the traditional ways of sanitation. Like everything that comes home right now gets washed. And my mom used to do it already, and now it's being doubled. So yeah, that is all coming back. And there's a lot of physical work, and there's a lot of rituals going on, ginger tea and Ayurvedic ways, and yoga and breathing exercises, and many people might think that this is a con or maybe a sham, but it isn't. It really works if you eat healthy, and if you like always maintain your metabolism and you work on it. It's really going to help you. And people were forgetting this, but this period has made people remember those roots and those traditions, and many people return back to it. And there are a lot of local shops promoting it, and it gave job. Actually, it provided job and employment for many local shops to provide stuff like that, stuff homemade. Many grannies and mothers established their own business right now of supplying these homemade what you say homemade teas. We call it kadha here. So homemade kadhas and many drinks like that to their homes, and it's actually working. So people are getting employment out of it, which is a very good way, because all forgotten things are coming back to life, and it's good to see them back. So I would end here. I think it's a long presentation, but I would think this pandemic has brought a lot of changes in our life. There could be good ones, there could be bad ones, but let's just think about the good ones, because we are hoping for a better future, a future without this coronavirus. So I'd like to ask, what positive changes did this period of pandemic brought for you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prachi, for that very powerful presentation that you just made. But I think one positive change that I experienced during this pandemic, well, personally, I was able to spend more time with my 3 cats. I have 3 cats at home, and I think they got fatter because I was always at home during the pandemic. But beyond that, I think for the longest time, among the scientific community, we've been advocating for better science communication, which is an improved means of explaining science to a wider audience. Because, for example, the way we talk about science to students, sometimes it's not so appealing. And now we are trying to convince people about how science is trying to find solutions to our current problem. And we see a lot of scientists being more flexible. We see them using memes. We see them using local languages in different countries. And I feel a sort of vindication that at last, people are starting to realize how important it is to make people fall in love with science. But I also agree with you that this pandemic has also been frustrating, because we've seen a lot of fake news, misinformation spreading online. And I fully support your statement of creating better means of sharing information that has been verified, so that we get to know which information to trust and which information to question. So as a young individual, my question for you is, how do you think you can create that network of information sharing, where information is verified and shared appropriately to the target audience?
Well, I think, first of all, many youngsters don't like this, but I think a positive interference of the government in the regulation of social media in each country, personally, like our government is trying to, but people are very much against it. But that is very much important to like wipe out all the nonsense IDs, first of all, that get created during these times to spread the rumors and spread those false informations. Also, I think Instagram, Twitter should take step while such a sensitive situation that they should completely stop the flow of any such information. Maybe it's right, maybe it could be right, it could be wrong. I think if they work on stopping these information, people would rely on government and the responsible authorities for the real information. And then I think the real information could be spread through government platforms or the healthcare platforms, and I think that would be much better.
Thank you for that, Prachi. I hope I have as much confidence with the government because sometimes some of our government politicians here have been sharing wrong information too, so I'm scared. But
Yeah,
beyond but beyond that, I think it also
I
opens up
think here
more.
also there's
Yeah,
this
yes.
conflict with the government.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to resolve that, people are like working. You see, a lot of young population is now aware with the facts, and they do their personal research also. So if something is very much off the beat, people are going to know and are going to talk about it. You cannot stop people from talking at all. So yeah, that is there. So I don't think a very wrong step would be done during such period of crisis. Some mishaps or to hide some of their like carelessness, they could do that. But that too, when two in my country, two systems never collaborate with each other. If one is doing something wrong, the other is going to bash it. So you openly know about everything that is going on.
I see. That's very interesting, and I think what I love about what you said is the word collaboration, and I think now is really the time for more people to collaborate. Thank you, Prachi.
Thank you so much.
What positive changes that this pandemic has brought in me was that in our daily life we were so busy hustling and we are keeping our focus on how to survive, how to earn money, how to get educated, and this in this very busy schedule. But yes, the lockdown and when the world came in halt, yes, from my personal experience, I got time to get attached from the other aspects of my life, like watching a flower bloom can be so gracious. Yes, and just like sitting sitting there in my garden can be so blissful. Yes, so I like exploring myself and exploring my other side, other hobbies. So yeah, these are the positive changes that I have faced. And my question for you will be that what positive changes you have encountered during this pandemic? What was your side?
A lot of positive things. The very important thing that I learned is not to judge anyone without knowing that their stories, because many things were happening, and a lot of people were coming online and saying things, and people were like pushing them back, and they were like there was a silence from these people, and someday something bad came, and someday you see someone smiling, and something bad you hear the other day. So first of all, I learned about not judging anyone and not forcing my ideals or values on anyone, not imposing my ideals on anyone. The most important thing that I learned is, and that the positive change that I got in me was to let myself and others around me breathe, and like giving them their time to like grow, like know me and I know them, and then we can go along like that. Thank you.
Thank you.